Ahoy! The biggest patch we have seen to New World so far is on its way to us, coming tonight, tomorrow, depending on where you are, and it's crazy. It's super exciting to me. It brings a lot of new things. It solves a lot of the current issues, even more than the previous patch that we had, and it shows that they're listening to the community. So I'm super happy about this, and I think this is a patch, if you're kind of taking a break from the game or you're kind of hesitant to jump into it, that will change a lot of the things that people were concerned about. And yeah, I'm super hyped, so let's just get into it. I'm going to try and keep this short because I've already talked about some of the changes. I want to talk about what I haven't talked about, and the other ones I will keep relatively brief because I've already gotten details on the weapon changes. There's so much to go through. It's just super cool. So we'll make it quick, so it's not too long, and we begin with the Void Gauntlet. Obviously, you know about the Void Gauntlet, but now the new weapon is the Annihilation Tree, which is like a closed range damage tree, and the Decay Tree, which is more range damage over time. Both is a lot of debuffing, a lot of combo potential, and all that type of stuff. Very exciting. We'll see if it's equally strong in every regard. I feel like the melee tree may be a little bit weaker in some ways, the Void Blade specifically, but it also depends on how much they have fixed since the PTR. So that's going to be very interesting. Some cool images here as well. Have a quick look at of the Void Blade in different situations. This, for example, here is the Petrifying Scream, the AoE that roots enemies in front of you, you could think. So it looks pretty cool. Then we have the Varangian Knights as a new type of enemies. These are low-level enemies currently. They are around level 20-ish. They have a few new quests in Southeastern Eternum, and those are mostly for new players to have some more variation. They have some different enemy types. And apparently this is just the beginning, and we'll see more of them later. They apparently also have a new armor set that comes with them, as well as a bunch of like weapons that I don't think even are listed in the patch notes. But obviously more of a visual thing because relatively low level. And then we have various things in terms of world experience. Let's go into that. So, added starter zone, visual variety and improvements, updated visuals that have been added to starter areas, corruption withered visuals have been amplified in farm points and points of interest. Ashes Forge has been updated and moved from Emerald Temple to Southwest Windswood. Run faster on roads, very cool one. While running on roads, you randomly receive a movement speed bonus of 10%. It will not trigger unless you've been running on the road for 3 seconds and are on the road. It'll be cancelled if you engage in combat, very important, of any way, such as dodging, blocking, attacking, or being hit with a debuff. It kind of means that, you know, it's a bit better for AFK running if you like dodge rolling to try to actually remove the buff from you. But still, I think it's a nice little extra perk just for that very purpose. And obviously that way it can't be abused in fights to get away from enemies. Because if you give up dodging, then that can actually slow you down. Movement speed bonus is not active while the player is actively engaged in wars, outpost rush, or duels. I thought actually it would be possible to use it in wars as well, which would have been interesting, but won't be. But that's okay with me. Next one, very big as well. It's just a little side note here, but added 10% luck bonus and 30% gathering luck bonus for players flagged for PvP. So there will finally be more open world PvP on level 60 because there's very good reasons to flag. Now you have to understand that 10% luck is a very massive amount. I think the maximum amount you can get on a single gear piece at the moment is 2.7%, if I recall correctly, plus any pearls that you can put onto them. So there's an equivalent of roughly 4 gear pieces with luck ungemmed or unpearled, which is a lot. And that goes on top of everything else you have. So if you have luck trophies, if you have luck bags, whatever you have, goes on top of that, and then you get the gathering luck too. So flagging really rewarding now, and I think that is how it should be. If you don't want to flag and you want to take the loss on that, yeah, sure, that's up to you. But this way people actually are going to fight again. And then we have bug fixes, AI stuck on cliffs, boss gating and triggering an expedition. Some doors would be closed when they should be open. That was actually really annoying when it happened. Several issues in expeditions that allow players to attack enemies without getting hit or heal teammates without being in an encounter. Various enemy vitals names and versions have been updated and fixed, and various issues with missing or incorrect world collision navigation mesh. So, a bunch of small fixes there. Then we have a new quest. We have new PvP faction missions. Control points, seize control of a fort. That kind of only works if you already, if it's not already taken by your company. So I'm not, like faction, I'm not really sure if you can get other ones in the fort or something that connect to that. We found a few other data mined ones that were different, but Yeah, I'm not sure if it literally is just that one. Then you have Intercept, defeat enemy faction members and collect their tiers. So that one is just, fight some people and actually get the reward for that. So that people will actually start fighting and not AFK farming those missions. And Warcam Blue, to retrieve hidden plans at the enemy's Warcam. I think it's a good addition to what we have so far, but I think we still need more. I think we still need more variation, more missions that also work when there's not that many enemies around or when you don't have control of a fort and so on and so on. I think the larger the variety of missions, the better. But it's good that we have additional ones for now. We've updated several quests in the main storyline to improve the player experience. So there are resets for some people, like on the quests, like if they're on a specific quest because the quest has been changed. And some have like more extensive restructuring as well. I also remembered in new initiate old order. So yeah, you have to go back to Jonas to accept the quests to get the new updated quest line. Up the location of one of the survivalist Wolfden quests in First Light to reduce the amount of travel. The content design has also been updated to a wave event in all 3 starter zones. And then we have more bug fixes here. Starting faction missions have been updated so early players will not be given missions to hunt sheep. Unfortunate for the meme, but good for the game. Faction rank 2 quests are now offered at level 20, but still recommended for level 25 plus players. Very good one because it was super frustrating that you had to wait for so long to get that. It used to be that way back in the closed beta, so good they're returning to that. Return to Innkeep quests now reward the proper amount of SLOTH. Map pins were updated for hunt missions in Elder's Gate to be more accurate. 2 elite faction assassination missions in Brightwood target elite enemies that only spawn at night. We've updated the quest text to specify this requirement. Various text fixes for typos, moving of quest locations, and reinforcement of story. Revising naming conventions for town projects to better distinguish them from faction missions. Fix expedition loot PvE faction mission within Garden of Genesis. I'm not actually sure what this one's referring to. But, oh, right, I think, it's a warrior cast. You were supposed to loot warrior strong boxes or whatever they're called in Garden of Genesis, but they don't even exist in there. So, yeah, I actually had that quest once. Fix a mismatch in the text requirement and action requirements for there to be a Grandmaster fishing quest. Fixed an issue with PvP spy missions not being completed in non-settled zones. Added voice-over fixes for multiple NPCs. Fix various issues crashing NPCs to not complete the animations. And fix various issues causing incorrect loot tags to display. And then we have WorldTech. Fixed an issue causing certain AI to spawn more frequently than intended. Fix various issues that could occur when interacting with the journal entries scattered across the world. Fixed an issue with town projects failing to refresh. And PvP experience bonus will no longer apply when in an expedition. That makes sense because you can't find anyone there. Changes to combat and AI. Consumables. Fixed a bug that allowed the well-fed buff to stack from different tiers and types of food. The most recent instance of the buff will now replace previous versions. Very, very good. So as it stands, no more food stacking. Much, much better for wars. And hopefully that'll be the future. We'll see what they, how they look at the different types of food that you can still use, like normal food and con food. I don't know why they have like different regeneration perks in the first place. I think it should just be one and the other ones don't even need that. I think you should have normal food for regeneration and the stat food for anything else. But yeah, at least it's much, much more dialed down than before now, so I'm very happy to see this. And also fix a bug that prevented weapon coding items from being consumed properly when used. Gear perks. Increase scaling of leeching perk rings from weapons from the range of 0.5 to 1.5 to now 1 to 5%. I already talked about this. I think this will be extremely strong, especially with AoE melee abilities. The effectiveness of Freedom, Vigor, and Invigorate debuff perks have been improved from like max 5% to max 8%. Some of these were not even working properly on the current client, so they are fixed now, and they are also buffed, so they should be a lot more interesting. I would not be surprised if we actually see them a decent amount now. The cooldown of the Keen Speed perk is reduced from 10 to 5 seconds, and the haste duration is increased from 2 to 3 seconds, which is massive in my opinion. Increase that procs a lot more often then. And then the rings with poisoning, bloodletting, burning, crippling, and feeling, and so on, are buffed from a maximum of 7% to 15% increased duration. Then Chain Elemental can no longer damage invulnerable characters and dead targets and so on. Corrupted Bane doesn't scale higher than other Bane perks anymore. The Elemental Chain does not proc from the initial hit of the Graph Well anymore. And the Hardy perk no longer provides a bonus to strike damage. However, that happened. Equip Load increased the healing bonus of the light equip from 20 to 30%, and increased the healing bonus for medium equip load from 10 to 15%. Since these weren't working beforehand, this is actually more than just an increase. It's actually like functioning now, but there's some other stuff for healers later that offsets it a little bit. Then we have navigation updates. We already went through those last time as well, just very quickly. Jumping and traversals are now disabled when navigation is disabled, such as when hit by a root effect, including Graph Well or rooting by Ice Gauntlet. Updated the vault camera to smooth out the motion. Updated jump in place to allow translation while into air. While in air, and fix various bug animations alongside a variety of issues to smooth general navigation. This is super cool because, like, while this is not directly specified here, I think later, you can actually jump on a ton of different things now that you couldn't jump on before from tomorrow onward. So you can jump on literally everything in town, basically, and stand on every stupid thing that you want to. And as a player that likes to jump around things in town as much, I very much enjoy that. Fix an issue where attacking while sliding could cause players to get stuck in a natural slide animation. Fix an issue where jumping could cancel area of effect aiming on some abilities. Fix an issue where traversing while outrun had a slight movement pause. Fix an issue where play animation speed appeared to stutter when transitioning to sprint finishes. Fix an issue where the sprinting jump noticeably slowed the player when landing. Fix an issue where the shield could fail to sheath properly after queuing certain actions. Fix an issue where weapon swapping while gathering could cause the player to not have the correct weapons equipped or perform attack animations properly. Fix an issue where players could become unresponsive if they blocked while running and tried to crouch. Fix an issue where drinking a consumable while performing a gathering action would break the player's consumable action. Fix an issue where the camera moved along with crouching prone actions if the player used those buttons while harvesting or skinning. Fix an issue where spamming prone could get the weapon sheath out of sync. Actually, that was kind of funny. I wish they kept that. Fix an issue where player movement issues when attempting to place a camp while mid-air. With player movement issues, okay. Fix an issue allowing players to bypass collision when taking out weapon while prone. Fix an issue where animations could stutter when running after executing multiple attacks with certain weapons. Fix an issue where player was able to clip through outcropping collision by using certain abilities while prone. Fix an issue where players rotated incorrectly when entering sprint from moving backwards and sprinting from shield rush. Oddly specific. Fix an issue where outrun would not stop while attempting to place a camp. Fix an issue where players could use strength to scale unarmed attacks after prone jump spam. Fix an issue where players could sometimes become unable to execute heavy attacks out of prone position when a magic weapon was equipped. Duels. Fix an exploit by preventing gathering while in duels, so players can no longer avoid durability damage while gathering. Attribute threshold bonus. Very important. Reduce the damage reduction provided by 250 constitution from 80-60%. Not that big, but no, sorry. The third one is the big one. Whatever. Fixed a bug that caused a 250 constitution bonus cooldown to trigger on a blocked hit. So that kind of offsets that a little bit. And fixed a bug that was preventing players from dodge canceling out of attacks during an abilities recovery window when the 250 strength bonus was active. That is the big one. So yeah, I don't think these ones are a big deal because it's on a 1 minute cooldown anyways, and this way you can block it as well and get more resets. That so the con perk is basically better for shield users now. And the other one here, a huge change for high strength users. Dodge. Fix an issue causing two-handed melee and magic staff dodge rolls to have similar invulnerability a smaller invulnerability Yeah, let's try that sentence again. Fix an issue causing two-handed melee and magic staff dodge rolls to have a smaller invulnerability window than the other weapon types. I had no idea this was happening. It is very interesting. I don't know if it's specifically dodge rolls only or other dodges as well, but I thought that was very fascinating. I guess it has something to do with the animation. Fix inconsistent cancel timings between dodges of different weapon types. Also interesting. I think it's generally slower for a lot of weapons now. So yeah, you can't just like dodge roll as a life staff users easily, for example, I think. But I only was able to test that on PTR on relatively high ping, so I have to verify that again. Fix a bug which could cause a backwards dodge to result in a small teleport. Fix an issue that caused players to not take damage from an AoE if they dodged into the affected area. War. Structures are now immune to buffs and debuffs that logically wouldn't affect siege weapon and deployable structures. Very important. For example, the Warhammer would be one of them, I think. Disabled player collisions on Inferno traps due to players occasionally getting stuck on them. Very good thing in my opinion, because that was really annoying. I wonder what that means for placing them, though. We'll find out. Made it so that player can't deal damage to other players with weapon abilities through fort gates and warcamp gates. Very good change. Outpost Rush reduced the power of Battle Bread from 15% damage to 5% damage in defense, reduced the damage reduction of Baroness buff from 25% to 15%, reduced the damage on the defense commander tent from 5% to 15% to 3% to 9%. I think especially the commander tent gains value through this, because compared to the Battle Bread, it should now have a pretty significant impact. Like the 5% increase is nice, but a 3% increase for your whole team is nicer. Notable bug fixes. Backstab. Fix a bug that could cause backstab to trigger when attacking players from the front. This is probably referring to the rogue perk primarily. Unblock. Fixed a bug that caused some weapon mastery passives that state they trigger on block to trigger against unblockable attacks. Cooldown timers fixed an issue where various passives and perk cooldown timers were being removed when swapping weapons or unequipping gear. The weapons. So this one I'm gonna just like kind of go over very, very briefly, because if you want to see that in more detail, I have a video on that very recently where I talked about all the changes. And as far as I'm aware, there weren't at least not significant changes since then that added to it or changed it, or I haven't stumbled across them. So Warhammer gets a little bit of a shift away from Shockwave. Shockwave had its effectiveness reduced from 20% to 10% on the rend on Sundering Shockwave. And instead, Armor Breaker gets an extra 5% rend, so that's on 20% now. Damage of Mighty Gavel is buffed, doesn't matter. Damage on Wrecking Ball is buffed, Opening Armor Breaker is buffed, so a lot of buffs there. Wrecking Ball also gets like a Fortify, which I think is very interesting, especially with all the other Fortify coming into the game. Yeah, those are like the main thing, basically. Path of Destiny Leeching Path of Destiny is fixed. Our Path of Destiny was not further tackled, which is a bit surprising. And Exhaustive Attack was also buffed. So overall, shifts to the Warhammer that nerf one of the most obvious issues. There's another one, I would say. So I think Path of Destiny might still be a problem after this, hearing from EU at least. So I don't think they're done with Warhammer. The other changes around that also make other abilities like more appealing, I think are actually pretty good. And I don't think I think taking away the 10% rent from Sonic Shock will like nerf a lot of other aspects of the Warhammer that justifies. Like for example, the damage increase on Wrecking Ball is effectively still going to be less than what is taken away by Sundering Shockwave, and every hammer user with a brain uses Sundering Shockwave. Just kidding, we don't have brains. And then we have the Life Staff. Life Staff gets a bunch of changes to healing overall. It says here now, reduced base healing by 20% across the board to account for the increase in healing from the equip load. So it's weird how this is worded, because like based on this, we have a 20% reduction here, but then you also get a 10% or like a 30% increase in total, so a 10% after 20% reduction from light armor. But I don't think that is the reality, like of what we've seen on PTR. We tested different things. They changed something on the healing scaling mid PTR. It was like originally way lower, and then they increased something again, so the reduction was less, but I think it's still less than what you're currently healing for. So yeah, not entirely sure what is happening there, how it works, but overall, a bunch of interesting changes that, in my opinion, make healing like more healthy at least than it was before, where everyone was running heavy armor essentially. So range is normalized between the various things, and that also goes for spells where like you're trying to heal an ally out of range, so they will be basically you not be cancelled and put on yourself instead. That was really annoying beforehand. When somebody runs out of range, you end up healing yourself. That's fixed. And then a bunch of changes to Sacred Ground here as well, with the Fortify perk being nerfed. I mean, that was insanely strong, and it's still insanely strong, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, a few other things here, like mana regeneration, Splash of Light gets some tweaks as well. Orb of Protection also actually got some stealth changes again on life even, so I don't know where that's standing at. But generally speaking, with all the changes with the life staff, I don't want to go into too much detail, because there were so many tweaks on the PTR that I really don't know what the end result now actually is, and we'll just have to test it. And then these numbers may not actually mean that much after all, depending on how the healing ends up being. Blessed also sees a significant nerf here from 30% to max 20%, but I think that was necessary because, well, I think Blessed as a perk is kind of weird anyways because it forces it on pretty much everything. But yeah, I think this is a better pathway. Then with the hatchet, we got a few things regarding throws, especially. Where's it? Rending throw here, cooldown reduced from 15 to 8 seconds. Infected throw, the duration is increased from 5 to 10 seconds. And then also the model power perk increased the duration on low health targets from 8 to 15 seconds. And arrow transmission increased the duration of the cloud from 3 to 6 seconds. Again, we have to check how exactly that works out in game. But yeah, overall very effective buffs to the throwing components of the hatchet especially. So I think we should, or like we'll likely see some more of that, especially in wars. Then we have the Great Axe. Reap can no longer trigger a breakout dodge, which is very good because you could just dodge spam whenever you get Reap pulled, and that was just really weird because no other ability consistently works like that. Gravity Well is actually, like, forget all this, Gravity Well just holds people in place so much better now. It's actually so much more effective at what it's supposed to do. And there's just a small bug on the side that was fixed, but overall Gravity Well is going to be a lot stronger, and it also shows the damage properly now. Grid on Whirlwind, probably one of the biggest changes of this patch. I think we will see a lot more Whirlwind now, very likely, because it's going to be very, very interesting. Fortifying Whirlwind got some tweaks. It's now 10% per stack with a maximum of 5 stacks, which is still absolutely insane. So yeah, Whirlwind I think will be a big one. Heavy Pull, fixed an issue where heavy attacks had incorrect hitboxes when passives are quick. That's just so that you do the normal damage now as well with it when you have a full heavy hit. But the gravity passive now applies a root for 0.25 seconds to targets hit by a pull. That one's going to be very interesting. Apparently on an APTR, people said when you don't have lag, it actually works. We found that it didn't really work. It is just an 0.25 second roots. Keep in mind it's on heavies and on like abilities that have pulls, but I'm very curious how exactly it'll work out. For example, for something like Maelstrom, if you can still like dodge between the 2 pulls of it. So this is something that definitely needs more testing, but it's definitely interesting as well. With the bow, we get a fix here to the primary attacks being fired faster than intended. I'm still not sure. There was originally something in there about the penetrating shot, which I can't find anymore, and I don't know if it was removed later or like you were not able to do a cancel into it anymore after a normal shot. And I thought that was intended originally. I thought that was meant to be cancelable, and it always felt weird to me that some other bow abilities had such bad cancels. But I'm assuming that due to backlash, they either didn't go through with it or they just took it out and they're just like wording it weirdly in here. So I can't really say, but yeah, bow gets some tweaks, I would say. The poison shot gets a cooldown reduction from 35 seconds down to 30 seconds, and the rapid shot gets a cooldown increase from 20 seconds to 14 seconds. But in my opinion, rapid shot's still a very weird one. Rain of arrows can no longer hit enemies through the door. So yeah, I don't know. Not that significant changes to the bow. Apparently, a lot of people seem to think that the bow is just a really bad weapon. Given the fact that every duelist ever that I see in front of Windsword runs a bow, I don't know if that case can reliably be made. I think it's just a weapon that has a bit of an awkward niche where, you know, you roll away a lot and you 1v1 a lot, and that's not exactly a playstyle that most people will necessarily look to trade with. I don't know what the bow really needs at the moment, and we'll see how it is after these changes, especially the consecutive primary attacks thing. But yeah, like I'd say like I'm gonna like hold my judgment on these changes until we see how it really feels and what they really do to the bow. Sword, on the other hand, I think has very good changes. Primarily here, the weaken on the shield rush being increased from 4 to 10 seconds. They seem to be buffing a lot of fortify and weaken effects, I guess, in order to go away a little bit from like just relying on the armor itself, but rather relying on your skill, using your abilities properly in order to have a consistent uptime on damage mitigation. And there's some timing fixes to the sword, especially the heavy attack, so it should hit better now. And Leaping Strike gets a bunch of buffs, reducing the cooldown from 25 to 18 seconds, damage scaling from 135 to 150%, and the recovery afterwards should be better as well, so you can chain it better into a stun. So this should overall be a lot better. Hitbox is still a bit weird on this one, but overall, I think, again, moving in the right direction. Fire Staff gets a ton of nerfs. I don't even know if I should go through all this. I'm not going to do that because like you can go like watch the other video. I went through in detail. But there's a bunch of nerfs to like everything. Fireball cannot crit anymore, but then there's a bunch of perks that now benefit from crit. A lot of values have been decreased. Like just yeah, it's just weird. I can't explain it. I can absolutely explain why the Ice Gauntlet got nerfed, but I don't know why the Fire Staff got nerfed so hard. I don't know what caused that. When I don't look at it as the major issue in the mage department. I mean, I guess mages have Void Gauntlet now as an alternative if they're frustrated with using Fire Staff. But to me, this feels like an over nerf because there's so many like bonus amplifiers, so many damage reductions that are being applied. Yeah, I really don't know what's going on with this or where this came from. I do think it had a little bit too much damage, yes, but I don't think that this scale of overhaul was necessary, where like a bunch of perks just get like a 5% reduction here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and here. I do think that some were overpowered, like looking at, for example, Prophet of a Fire God, crit damage bonus 20%, that was a bit much, 15% is more appropriate, and crit chance bonus, I think 10% is also more appropriate than 50% there, but then I don't think all that other damage reductions that came along with it were necessary. But yeah, I've gone like through that in more detail in the other video. And then we have some adjustments to the spear. Coup de grace especially gets some buffs here. Now counts as a heavy attack, so it's more beneficial to actually use coup de grace now instead of just canceling or like just doing the sweep into a heavy. And the damage is also increased from 125 to 150%, so good changes there, which allows it to like proc reset and so cooldown reset and so on, like all the heavy perks, and that's really nice. Then Skewer gets its bleed damage increased from 10 to 20%, also pretty significant, but really just a PvE ability in my opinion. Perforate increased damage from 70 to 80%, which is 3 hits, so that's actually quite significant. It's 240% damage now, and also gets the cooldown reduction from continuous motion from the vault kick as well. And Cyclone gets its damage scale increased from 110 to 130%, probably not that impactful. And Vault Kick gets a fix so that it can't go on cooldown if you get CC'd out of it. Ice Gauntlet, that was another very very upsetting change for a lot of people, which doesn't really surprise me. I think the Ice Gauntlet being nerfed is entirely unsurprising because I thought that was just an insanely strong weapon. Here we got some changes to the animation for the heavy attack, which makes it so that it's more in line with other magic weapons, so it doesn't fire fast and so on. And then we also get some changes here to Ice Storm, with it now taking 3 times per second instead of 4 times. And the Unending Thor perk should actually finally work, so that's an upside there, so that you should be able to deal damage to people after you equip that perk and not just one tick. And it'll also now stay active when the caster swaps to the other active weapon, which in my opinion is actually a pretty big buff and kind of offsets the tick thing here. But at the same time, as an Ice Mage, you may want to stay on the Ice Gauntlet for different reasons. The Ice Blade no longer has a cast time displayed, which makes sense. Wind Chill has its scaling increased from 16% to 20% per tick. I don't know if that's going to make much of a difference, to be honest. Ice Shower had its cooldown increased from 20 to 30 seconds. Very significant change. In my opinion, absolutely reasonable. I think it's one of the strongest abilities in the game, to the point where people run Ice Gauntlet as a secondary just for Ice Showers without even putting any attribute points into int or anything, just to have Ice Showers. So that having a longer cooldown, at least, to me, very, very justified. Entombed also gets significant nerfs. The health of the tomb is now 50% of the player's max health, so you can actually get through that in a reasonable amount of time. The breakout damage is reduced from 168% to 70%, so much more towards the lower end. And the invulnerability can no longer be removed while the tomb's still active. But you also, like, since you're not being healed, it's a very different story to be in Ice Tomb now. So yeah, I think the Entomb nerfs were very very on their way. Like it was very unsurprising to me. Apparently, a lot of people were really shocked, but Entomb was just free cleanse, free area to heal and get your mana back. Also deal damage when you come out, so there's no real punish to it. Yeah, in a 1v1 is absolutely insane, but even in wars, it was probably even more effective, to be honest, because you just focus a target, and in any other scenario, the target, if properly focused, will die. In this scenario, they won't, because they have a tomb. And if you have a healer in heavy armor with a bit of con and in tomb, they don't die. So yeah, this should solve that, hopefully. And I think this is a very, very welcome change. Ice Piling gets some buffs in return, increasing pile health from by 20%, increasing, adding a max lifetime of 45 seconds to the Ice Piling, and some other fixes basically surrounding it. And the ultimate chill bonus damage is reduced from 35 to 25%, also reasonable, especially because it applies to basically everything. It is still going to be strong. I'm not concerned with that at all. But yeah, overall, I think this is it's a good change. And we have critical frost reduce critical chance bonus from 20 to 15%, kind of in line with the fire staff, and energized critical reduce critical damage bonus from 15 to 10%, a little bit more there. Heavy freeze added a 5-second cooldown to the freeze effect. I've said it before, you can actually still apply this in multiple ways, so it's not necessarily a 5-second cooldown if you use multiple abilities. Not that big of a concern. Fix an issue that allowed enemies with this passive to root players standing in their own ice storm. Fix an issue where the ice refresh item perk could activate on both downing and killing a player. Now it triggers only on downing. I think these ice gauntlet changes are fair. I think the ice gauntlet, and I think most mages agree with it. Like most mages that I've talked to at this point agree with that. They're all very irritated, frustrated with the fire staff nerfs, which I can absolutely understand, but the ice gauntlet nerfs, making it a little more of a utility weapon and not the ultimate safety for everyone all the time, I think are reasonable. Rapier gets very massive buffs. So Flurry should be easier to hit on subsequent attacks, and Overwhelm will only apply to block damage now, not stamina damage, which is a good thing because that's a bit weird. And Tondo has its cooldown reduced from 11 to 6 seconds. Much better ability through that. And again, now actually working properly when a target is not blocking. So if you just hit a single target, it will always apply now. Very, very nice. I really want to see what can be done with Tondo now. Riposte cooldown is reduced from 20 seconds to 12 seconds. Again, like the Tondo change, like highlighting this as a single target weapon, at which it works very well. But an insanely short cooldown based stun duration increased from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, and the upgraded version lasting consequence, stun duration increased from 2 seconds to 2.5 seconds, which basically sets up a free heavy backstab now, probably, which is insane. Like, I don't even know why. This is a super short cooldown, and you have to keep in mind that there's also a tank ability, so I would not be surprised if we see a lot of rapier tanks now. Completely wild. I didn't see rapier buffs coming. I think the rapier is more overtuned than undertuned. It's just underrated compared to weapons like the Great Axe. But hey, if I want to buff rapier, we're playing rapier. I'm not complaining. I just don't know where it's coming from. Also, I guess a nicer option for mages is a secondary now. So you can, for example, run Ice Gauntlet and Rapier if you're not running Ice Gauntlet and Void Gauntlet. And the momentum bonus is increased from 25 to 30% as well. Some extra damage there too. Swiftness fixed an issue where the passive was granting haste from bleed damage ticks instead of actual weapon hits. I'm actually not sure if this was both before or if it was just bleed damage. So I may have misread that last time. So I'm not really sure if this is more of a buff or a nerf. But yeah, find out. And the musket gets a ton of buffs. It's actually wild. I think the musket isn't even in a bad place. I don't know why people think that the musket is in a bad place. I think it's a very strong weapon to snipe. Base damage increased by 2.5%. Some fixes as well regarding reloading. Traps can no longer be triggered by players in Death Door, so you use them more effectively. Sticky Bomb increased damage from 175% to 235% plus the 2.5% base damage increase. Stopping Power reduced the cooldown from 18 seconds to 15 seconds. Power Shot reduced the cooldown from 15 seconds to 12 seconds. And Shooter Stance reduced the cooldown from 20 seconds to 18 seconds. And there are more ways to exit it now as well. And Critical Reload should now work consistently. This is honestly, in my opinion, pretty scary, and I don't think people should sleep on this. I think the musket already on its way up with Resilient being fixed, and now even further on its way up, in my opinion. So Yeah, let's see where this takes us. I'm a bit scared of it. AI, new AI enemies. New lost enemies, Withered Swarmancer, Withered Beetle, Lost Shaman, Lost Alligator Pet, Ancient Guardian, Skeleton Mage, and the Corrupted Village updates. A strong Corrupted Laborer has put down his pickaxe and picked up some weights, now looking larger than ever, and villagers have had their attack sets reviewed and reworked to better differentiate them. So we have, this is probably the Withered Swarmancer here, I would assume. Yeah, it looks like a Lost. And then this, is this the Withered Beetle? This could actually be, no, this could also be the Swarmancer. I don't even know which one this is, but it looks pretty cool. And no, this is definitely the Beetle. I thought the Beetle might be a nickname for it. Wow, this is actually a lot scarier than I thought it would be. I thought it would just be like tiny Beetle, but this looks pretty disturbing. Yeah, okay, so we have 3 of them here. Look pretty cool. Bug fixes and AI tuning. Fix an issue where I could sometimes get pushed into invalid areas causing him to die. Fix an issue that caused health potions to generate threat. Also very interesting. Fix an issue that caused AI to become unresponsive if a large quantity of players were nearby. Fix an issue that could cause some objects spawned by boss to not always despawn when intended. Added hit volumes at the feet of all brute enemies to ensure attacks on players more consistently registered. That is very good because brute enemies, and they should do that with like more wood enemies as well because some of them are really annoying to hit. Fixed an issue causing slow areas dropped by the slimy modifier to fall through multi-floor buildings. Fixed an issue causing phalanx and slow aura to sometimes attach to enemies' feet and move erratically. Fixed an issue causing slicer to hit a much larger area than intended. Oh, thank goodness that is fixed. Corrupted breaches. Fix an issue where breaches could suddenly disappear mid-fight. Yeah, that was super annoying. Fix an issue that could sometimes cause enemies to not despawn after a breach was completed. That's a very rare one, but it happens on the Tentacle, for example. Outpost Rush. Fixed an issue that could cause bears to attack the wrong gate if both gates were upgraded to tier 3. Invasion. Fixed an issue that allowed players to body block the Spriggan. The Spriggan itself can still dissolve through doors, so I don't know if that's the biggest issue there. It's just like half spawns and they just run through the door immediately before like even breaking it. Kind of weird. Reduce the damage of Invasion Spriggan by 20% across the board. Good. Spriggan was actually insane. Reduce the damage the Invasion Spriggan deals to structures by 50%. It might actually be more manageable to reasonably win invasions when there's a Spriggan or more than one Spriggan spawning. So very happy with that. Ancient Guardian, Ancient Mage. The Ancient Mage is no longer immune to stuns. Reduce the damage of the Ancient Mage's close range blast away spell. Fix an issue preventing some Ancient Guardian AI from properly retreating. Fix an issue causing some Ancient Guardian AI to strafe indefinitely. Angry Earth, Dryad Archer. Dryad Archer's leaping spread shot should now more consistently hit the player. Dryad Prowler. Fix an issue that made the Prowler T-pose by some attacks. Corrupted Acolyte. Fix an issue causing Acolyte to be immune to crowd control effects. That is actually nice. Dynasty Trainee. Fix an issue cause the Dynasty Trainee to not deal damage. Corrupted Commander. Fix an issue that could cause the Commander to repeatedly do his dash attack. Always fun when he does that. Jonas the Corrupted. Reduce the model size of Jonas the Corrupted. Reduce the selfing on Jonas so he's more manageable counter for a single player. So that's what they do with both of the questline bosses now. Dynasty Summoner. Fix an issue making the Dynasty Summoner heal for significantly more health than intended during his retreat. Corrupted Villagers. Fix an issue that allowed Corrupted Villagers to chase players forever. Void Destroyer. Fix an issue allowing the Void Destroyer's laser to shoot players through the fort's wall. Lost Porter. Fixed an issue that caused Lost Porters to be unable to correctly retreat. Drowned Sailors. Fixed an issue that allowed Sudden Shield Drown to block while using combo attacks. Fix an issue that caused Drowned Mariners to get stuck on geometry. Pistolier. Fix an issue where Pistolier would use melee attacks to attack out of range targets. The Pistolier will now better use its ranged attacks. Withered. Fix an issue preventing withered enemies from killing players in Death Door. Fix an issue that could cause the withered grunt to get his head stuck in a fence. Brutes. Fix an issue with the height of brute characters, allowing them to get stuck in doorways, and fix an issue causing the pirate's brutes cannon to get stuck on his hand if staggered while in cannon attack. Also interesting. Wildlife. Boars. Fix an issue that causes boars to behave erratically if players shot a projectile near them. Fix an issue causing boars to instantly turn rather than smoothly turning while walking. Fix an issue with the hit volumes on large boars so they can be hit more consistently by attacks. Alligators. Fix an issue where alligators could get stuck trying to attack players who are above them. Elk. Fix an issue where elk could get stuck in doorways inside of buildings. Peacocks. Fix an issue where peacock kills were counted as turkey kills. Bears. Fix an issue where the left and right reaction for bears was reversed. Fixed visible reaction hit on bears when staggered. Fix an issue that could cause bears to get stuck in trees. Cats. Disabled cats' ability to look at and track the player with their head when stunned. Wolf tuned the lunge attack on some wolves to have a smaller homing angle, give the players a more consistent window of time to dodge the attack. That's especially good for new players because it's a bit annoying. I toned down the player reaction to wolf attacks so the players are now pushed more smoothly instead of snapping to a new location. Stanley resolved behavioral issues, sometimes allowing Stanley to get stuck running in place. That's a very specific one. Expeditions. Amrine, Simon Gray, and adjusted Simon's affixes to always be the same static effects between each spawn. Fix an issue causing him not to pause summoning minions after all his minions are killed. From a Nakashima, adjusted Nakashima's fixes to always be the same static effects from spawn. The Depth. Archdeacon gets a few fixes. Fix an issue allowing his hounds to be repeatedly killed for experience and loot. Fix an issue causing the hounds to not play proper spawn animations. Fixed a rare issue when Azamela would try to attack players outside of his arena. Fixed an issue where the teleporters could be left on after a team wipe. Fixed an issue causing teleport VFX to not apply to the player. Fixed an issue causing his obelisk to not show beam VFX. Fixed an issue that allowed the corrupted carapace near Captain Thorpe's teleporter to be damaged by enemies, and fixed an issue that made Scary Shiv Acolyte enemies immune to all crowd control debuffs. And then we have some fixes in Dynasty Shipyard as well. Commander Chen tightened up Commander Chen's damage values so that he deals more consistent damage in expected locations. Isabella's pets fixed an issue where Isabella wouldn't look at the player when the players she was targeting with her pistol shot. Fixed an issue where the death of Isabella's tigers could empower the AI outside the arena. Fixed an issue causing Isabella to only deal strike damage. Empress fixed an issue causing the Dragon Breath spell to kill players in Death Door. Fixed an issue causing Pearl Pedestals to continue casting even after death. Fixed an issue causing Pearl Pedestals hitbox to be too high. Adjusted timing on Dragon Dive so that it's less likely to hit players before the visual appears. Fixed an issue causing Corruption Blast to be difficult to block for players who are very close, such as the group tank. And fixed an issue causing the Empress to be vulnerable to damage during specific animations while in phase 2. Guns of Genesis. Illuvium Mal fixed an issue causing his minions to be level 57 instead of 66. Interesting one. I didn't realize that, so that's going to be a little bit harder. Fixed an issue causing Illuvium's dive attack to sometimes deal no damage, and fix an issue that could sometimes cause players to become stuck in Illuvium Mal's root area wall. So I'm wondering if this means that you have to have more people outside now or something, because that's pretty significant mob level difference considering how many minions you spawn. So we'll see what happens. Blighted Greenskeeper fixed an issue preventing the small poison pool from dealing proper damage. Reduced the damage of the Siren Scream by 15%, so people don't get one shot by it if they don't pay attention to it. Lazarus Instrumentality. Scylla fixed an issue where Scylla's staff phase would last too long, causing the conduits to become out of sync with her arcane might stacks. I'm actually surprised that out of all the mobs they're not nerfing her. With randos, this is the only buff that I've ever significantly seen them struggle. It's always Scylla. They just can't get through it, but I like it as well. I like that they keep her a bit more in a way where you actually have to understand the boss mechanics to clear effectively if you're not that experienced and not that geared. Chardas fixed a rare issue that caused Chardas Beam to continue after the players were all dead. Slightly increased the damage volume size in Chardas armpits for more consistent hits. So I'm not even sure if that means he hits more consistently or if you can hit him more consistently, but I think it means he hits more consistently. Fixed an issue prevented Chardas from taking bonus damage from the Ancient Bane perk, which probably also means that he's actually going to get hit harder by hammers now, because currently he doesn't. He's not even considered an Ancient for some reason. Fixed an issue that prevented the Ice Golems and Tomb from being damaged by Chardas laser. Fixed an issue that allowed Chardas to be damaged by throwing hatchets from outside of his arena. Fixed sterile issues that prevented Chardas and his Lazarops orbs from being damaged by player abilities. Everise fixed an issue that allowed Everise minions to drop loot. That's an arena boss here. And Banes reduced the model size of Banes. Good. Because he's not actually an arena boss, by the way, but it's just big. Economy, progression, and loot. Faction change cooldown has reduced to 60 days from 120, which I think is much better. 2 months, that's fine. Repair kit weight has reduced from 2.0 to 0.0. We felt that 2.0 was too heavy, and 0.1 is not heavy at all. So yeah, that's nice to have a few of them on you at all time. Added the item chunk of consecrated iron to the top rank of the faction shop for all factions. Chunk of consecrated iron are used to craft the resilient perk for armor items. So these are going to be very useful for some people who want to avoid crits. I think resilient is going to be a bit overrated, And I would force something else on Armor Craft primarily, but I do like it that it's possible now. Economy. All trading posts have been linked. Very big change as well. Both the listing tax and all purchase tax will be paid to the territory where the buy and sell order was listed. Items listed in sell orders that expire are returned to settlement from where they were posted. It is no longer possible to place items on the trading post for 28 days. The maximum is now 14 days. Reduce durability lost from PvP death by 10%. This is random how that ends up right after the trading post thing. But yeah, that one is a very big change, of course. I'm very happy about the trading post changes in general. And the durability loss change in PvP means even more reason for people to flag up, especially since you get benefits as well. Reduce the quantity of honey gained from apiaries by 50%, the amount of milk from cows by 65%. Honey trees are unaffected by this change. We made this change because the volume of milk and honey in the world is higher than our initial estimates. The bees and cows are happy about this change. I think the honey trees are actually also dropping the beeswax now, so I don't even know if they're dropping honey now, or if that was just a test version, but yeah, we'll see. Housing taxes are now due every 7 days instead of every 5 days. No change to cost, the players will gain 2 days of housing time without an increase to their taxes. Progression. Reduce the territory standing gains from cooking as a bit too generous compared to similar efforts put into other trading skills. Updated a Harpless Homestead Town project to now require 1 mission item instead of 5. And increase the experience requirements for progressing crafting trade skills. Once a player unlocks a new tier of recipes like Iron Steel, the XP requirements to continue progressing by crafting things at the previous tier will be significantly diminished. So there's no point in leveling with iron until 200. However, it should still take the same amount of effort to progress the crafting skill if you craft items in the highest tier you're capable of crafting. And this actually means that the higher tier XP is significantly increased to the point where if you're using higher tier materials, it looks like it's actually faster to level than it is right now. From what I've calculated, at least for Arcana so far. So we'll see how that is for other skills. Trade skills, potion crafting update. We felt that some of the higher tier core potions, particularly health and mana potions, were a little too difficult to craft, so we updated the recipes for these items and introduced a new alchemical component to do so, which is Alkahest. Alkahest is crafted by distilling the magical herbs found throughout Eternum, and serves as a reliable and potent base for potions going forward, which is Hyssop primarily. Rare resources from gathering nodes. So, thanks for all the reports on the forum. We found a probability issue with rare resources from tier 2, 3, and 4 gathering nodes and resolved it. Thanks to everyone who contributes to making your world better with your reports. The short version is we had a couple of probabilities that were multiplying each other, resulting in a near zero chance of some already rare items dropping. This combined with an issue that could make it next to impossible for an item to drop if your luck values were too high, not exactly how luck should work, which translated in a luck sweet spot that you had to be in to even have a chance, that near zero chance of getting a drop. With this fix, things like Fey Iron, Void Metal, Phase Fiber, and Petrified Wood should now have an appropriate chance to drop after you reach a certain trade skill level. This chance can be increased by eating the appropriate trade skill food when gathering, and trade skills foods also enables the possibility for these drops before you would ordinarily be able to receive them based on your trade skills alone, albeit at a very rare rate. So this was something that was going around. It was just like, could this be possible? Could it actually be possible that you can have too much luck? And yes, the answer is apparently could have too much luck under specific circumstances where you wouldn't get the right drops, and that is thankfully resolved. Fishing. Opening fishing missions now requires 3 woodlouse bait instead of 5. New rewards. Added several new items as special drops from named knights found in the world. Knights are quest targets that don't have special drops. That doesn't even make sense. Well, they do have special drops. And a new style of weapon that drop from the knight enemy type. So that's the new, I think it's the new Varangian Knights they're talking about. Rook's Defense Tower Shield now has a Tower Shield appearance instead of a Kite Shield appearance. Added a set of weapons designed by the participants of the Battle for New World event. These weapons are tier 5 and capable of being legendary if they roll a gear score of 600. There are a lot of new items with a variety of different perks that are probably going to get found because they're going to be on a bunch of different mobs now. So we can see a lot more people farming a lot more different mobs for specific weapons, because some of them are really, really strong and really, really interesting. So we'll see what comes out on top there. But yeah, there are a lot. Notable bug fixes. Players can no longer create buy orders from items that cannot exist. Fixed an issue that was causing bread and cheese baits from being crafted at kitchen. Was causing bread and cheese baits from being crafted at kitchen. Prevented, I guess. Players can no longer post sell orders when their storage is full. Very important change, actually, because it means that you can't just use your trading post as a storage. As far as I understand it, it doesn't contribute to their storage rate, though. It's rather, if you go over cap, you put it in your inventory and then you sell it on the trading post and it will still be okay. I don't think the cap is a direct concern there, but I'm not sure. So depending on how exactly this is handled, this could be very frustrating, or it could just be a minor inconvenience. But yeah, you'll have to move some assets around probably at this point if you use your storage. Like, I don't know what happens to the players over in Camp. Like, if you used your storage and the trading post as a storage extensively, that might not be the play anymore. Fix the issue that are causing boars and alligators to grant more skinning XP than intended. Well, the irony of having leveled skinning with boars and alligators in Cutlass, I guess. It was incredibly easy to level, and I think it's good that that's nerfed, that's fixed. Fix an issue that could cause players to come across bags of discarded items not belonging to them and couldn't be correctly interacted with. Fix an issue that prevented town project mission items from resetting the mission state when dropped. Fix an issue that was causing quick left mouse button taps when reeling in fish to cause the reeling to happen automatically, which could make it very difficult to control the line tension. Fix an issue that was causing higher tier common item to drop from certain low level enemies. Fix an issue that was causing small and large star metal and orichalcum veins to give the opposite amount of ore when mined. I thought they already fixed that. I guess they had to fix it again for some reason. Fix an issue with a syndicate armor perk piece that was causing it to have much higher gear score and by extension level requirement than it should. Please note that this fix will affect existing items instance of that item. Fix an issue that was causing gold and platinum ingots to require a smelter 1 tier higher than they should. Fix an issue that was causing some crafted items to present as legendary but craft as epic. Now they should appropriately be present as epic. Fix an issue that was allowing fire staffs to be crafted with unrefined woods. Added new craft mods to the game to account for a small number of perks that could roll on items but were unable to be assigned in crafting. So that's really cool. So we actually have some more craftable perks now that you couldn't get before. I'm actually not sure which ones are now. I think like Rogue may have been one of them, but either way, I'm very happy that they added them. Fix an issue where some craft mods were dropping in-game but were unable to be traded on the trading post. Similarly, the trading post listed some craft mods that were deprecated and not dropping. These have also been removed as listable on the trading post. Removed some deprecated and non-functional craft mods from the drop list. If you possess any of these items, it's been changed to a different functional item. So Star Metal Arcanist Charm is converted to Steel Arcanist Charm. Star Metal Armor's Charm has been converted to Steel Armor's Charm. Star Metal Chef's Charm has been converted to Steel Chef's Charm. Sliver of Corrupted Matter has been converted to Shard of Corrupted Matter. Star Metal Jewel Crafter's Charm has been converted to Steel Jewel Crafter's Charm. Orichalcum Traveler's Charm has been converted to Star Metal Traveler's Charm. Drop of Vicious Azoth has been converted to Vial of Vicious Azoth. Squirming Vines have been converted to Tangle of Writhing Briar. Writhing Vines have been converted to Clump of Writhing Briar. Thrashing Vines have been converted to Clump of Writhing Briar. Shard of Wyrtwood Resin has been converted to Resin Shavings. Chunk of Wyrtwood Resin has been converted to Resin Shavings. Vial of Wyrtwood Sap has been converted to Vial of Sap. And Draught of Wyrtwood Sap has been converted to Draught of Sap. They also fixed an issue that caused attribute mods to not be usable as an ingredient when crafting repair kits. Fixed an issue that caused repair kits to charge coin fee when used. And fixed an issue that caused certain pieces of weaponsmithing to not drop chest and pants. Now, this is confusing because they're saying they fixed an issue that caused the pieces not to drop. But the problem was the mob spawn in Malevolence, so I'm not really sure whether it's supposed to drop now. Like, either Malevolence is fixed now and it drops there now, or it drops in Malevolence from normal mobs, or I don't know. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that and where it's supposed to drop now, and we'll find out what happens to that. Streamer mode, there's some changes to that. Along with a new streamer reward, I think that's not listed here, but like there's a new like reward for watching streamers, I think, on Twitch, as far as I'm aware. Players can now individually block company invites, group invites, friend invites, coin transfer, trade requests, dual quests, and chat direct messages. Choosing the full do not disturb will turn off all incoming notifications. Also added a notification to the sending player to let them know their invites or requests are blocked when sending to a player actively using the streamer mode. When it comes to salvaging and repairing, added a tooltip on damage gear indicator explaining how to repair. Added the damage gear indicator to the inventory screen when a player has damaged gear. Added a tutorial pop-up to better explain repair parts. Highlight repair all and repair buttons to make them clearer. Some notable bugs. We now prevent players from locking in player-to-player trades that would result in inventory overflow. Players near the coin cap are prevented from doing trades that would cause one player to exceed the cap and therefore lose coin. Added a quest icon and highlight animations to crafting items that are required for quests. Fixed a bug that caused tiles to be reset after each game update. Added proper icons to a number of items that were missing icons in the trading post. Leaving a group during war caused you to leave the war without warning. Players can no longer leave group during war, but they can leave the war after confirming they want to do so. Fixed a bug where sometimes the tier of crafting and refining stations show up on the map flyout were wrong. Added a confirmation prompt when attempting to take all from storage shared to avoid the annoying accidental misclicks. We now show an icon to members of your own faction when they are flagged. That's actually nice, so you know that your allies are flagged. This should help players determine if they have nearby reinforcements or sufficient numbers for a PvP engagement. Upcoming war invasion tooltip on the map will now remain closed and not reappear on the map if you open and close the notification until the next war invasion. Thank goodness for that one. If foreign language strings are missing, they'll no longer show debug strings. It'll show the English text instead for better context. And some additional fixes going into the void. I fixed an issue where chests and Lazarus instrumentality and Guns of Genesis were not properly contributing to the watermark. So that's actually happening now. You can actually use them. You can actually get loot from them, and they contribute to the watermark as well. So they're twice as worth doing. Fixed issues preventing gear score 600 Arcana weapons from being crafted. Tier 5 weaponsmithing pants now drop from named enemy entropy, which enables players to complete their full set of weaponsmithing apparel. But they're not saying that they actually fixed the spawns. They say they fixed the bug about it, and they're saying it drops from entropy. But is entropy actually respawning? Is he actually there? Hopefully. So it's also nice. It's also nice that Arcana weapons can be made, by the way. So you can actually make, use the last ingredient and actually make the 600 gear score ones. And increase coin gain from expedition bosses, starting in Starstone at 25% and ramping up to the endgame expedition bosses, granting additional 100%. So very, very, very rewarding to go into dungeons now. Very happy about that because it takes quite a fair bit to make a key, so it should be rewarding to, get the end result of that. Thanks for your support. We'll see you in Eternum. It's time to vanquish some Varangian Knights, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. So I thank you guys very much for watching. I'm super happy about this update. Sure, it doesn't fix everything. Like, for example, furnishing is still a mess. I know, as a finisher. I'm very aware, and I'm sure there will be some bugs that will happen through this, but there are so many major things that have been tackled here that, I'm willing to wait, and I'm very happy that they did so many very, very important things. So overall, great changes. I'm happy. I'm glad they did this. And if the game keeps going in this direction, the future looks very, very bright. With that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next one soon. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you get notified of upcoming videos. Thank you for watching. SLOTH out.